talking to two Norland nannies, Emma and Sophie. Sophie is a UK student. She is in Set 45. She's a third-year student and deputy head of students. Emma is a US student, Set 46, and she's a second-year student. If you're not sure what Norland is, I will give you some information before we start the interview. Norland was founded in Norland Place in London in 1892 by Emily Ward as the first educational establishment to offer any kind of childcare training. Norland has been at the forefront of early education and care for 131 years. And Norland's education has always been progressive. Today, students study for two distinct qualifications that uniquely blend theory and practice, a wealth of hands-on experience. Norland BA Hons Early Childhood Education and Care, and the Norland Diploma. Norland graduates are famous for their best-in-class standard of training and their iconic uniforms. And we'll be talking about uniforms today with Emma and Sophie. Norland trained early years professionals are employed worldwide through the Norland Agency as Norland Nannies and maternity nurses. Norland graduates command the highest salaries in the industry and clinch the most sought-after posts and enjoy a busy life, often working with high-profile clients. With a degree behind them, many Norland nannies also progress into other professions that involve working with children, including teaching and nursing. Norland nannies are also provided with their own employment agency, the Norland Agency, to ensure that graduates have outstanding employment opportunities upon leaving Norland and throughout their careers. We are with Emma and Sophie, and I wanted to ask you both what inspired you to pursue a career as a nanny and how you decided to enroll in Norland College.
There are a few reasons why I decided to pursue the role and come to Norland itself. I think my biggest inspiration was it was way back in lockdown actually, and my cousin was born. And before then, I knew I had a real passion for kind of working with children, and just like I knew I really wanted to be in the childcare industry itself, but I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to do within it. And so my cousin was born, and my aunt mentioned to me, she said, Sophie, have you ever heard about Norland? And I hadn't heard about it at the time, but I thought, oh, I'm going to look this up. I looked it up, and just everything about it was exactly kind of aligning with my morals and my values. And that's kind of the inspiration for why I decided to come to Norland. I feel like looking at it compared to other degrees and universities in the UK at that time, it was kind of really the only place where I could achieve like a childcare degree with the combination of the practical side to it as well. And it's a super unique degree and diploma. So that's why I decided to go to Norland. I just thought that would be the best place for me to go. So yeah.
Thank you.
I completely agree with what Sophie said. It's unique in the whole world. I'm from the States, obviously, and so the decision to come to Norland, to move internationally to do that, was quite a big one for me. But I had been a nanny, I'd been in childcare for quite some time at the point where I made this decision, and I had heard about Norland I think almost about 10 years ago now from the documentary, and from the moment I saw it, I just thought, I want to go there. I have to go there. This is it for me. And they only opened up to international students about 2 years ago.
I know.
So yeah, it's been very exciting.
And how has the move to the UK to train as a nanny impacted you? Because obviously you're a long way away from home.
Yeah. It's been quite a big impact. Well, so when I was younger, I was an au pair in France, and I moved internationally then, and I just thought nothing of it. I thought it was great, and so when the time came again to move internationally a second time, I was like, oh, this will be fine. but the homesickness actually hit me a lot harder this time than it did last time. I was like, this is a big thing I'm doing. It felt like a lot of pressure, but I was really lucky to be able to come here, and I felt immediately welcomed. I felt immediately at home and got incredible support from Norland and from the student support team. That's incredible.
Great. That's great. I did the reverse. I trained as a student and then I moved to the States. So
amazing.
I completely understand where you where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Can you both share your experience with the admission process at Norland? And so what about your living situations? So do you live at Norland? Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, absolutely. Emma, do you want to go or shall I?
Go for it, Sophie.
Yeah, so the admissions process is super simple. I think I remember way back when I found out about Norland, going on the website, and I think I actually applied that night because I was like, yeah, I've absolutely got to go here. And super simple. You do like you write a personal statement and then you have an interview. And yeah, so when you start Norland, you're put into houses, and this can range from anything from a 3-bed house to a 10-bed house, and they're all with other Norland students. So it's a great way to kind of get to know people. So that's what I've been doing for the last few years now. And it's been really nice to be able to have to really get to know the girls and boys like on another level, because you live with them and you're all going through the same experience, which has been really nice, and on the same course. So yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Is the admission process the same for international students?
It's very similar. So everyone applies through UCAS. So I applied through UCAS the year I wanted to come. My interview was online via Zoom instead of in person. But yeah, it was the same process. It was the same, all of that. And I got in, it was so exciting. And then I applied for my visa, which was, there was a bit more paperwork. There was a lot more steps with that one, but it wasn't too painful, which is good. Yeah. And then, and they put us all in a house in first year, like different houses, but it's really nice to be able to be with everyone in the same course as you. And I'm still with girls in my year this year, and it's really nice.
It's nice to build that kind of community so you can support each other.
Yeah, it's really nice because you are all doing the same thing, and you all kind of got a similar end goal. And I think just by like being at Norland in the first place, you all kind of have like similar morals and values, so it makes living together really nice.
That's great. And can you explain a little bit about the sets? Because I know that Sophie, you're in set 45 and Emma, you're in set 46, right?
Yeah.
So they're just a kind of 3 different year groups. So it's first year at the moment, I believe, is set 47, and then second year set 46, and then third year set 45. So anyone who has ever been to Norland will have a set that they were in, say whether that could be set 33, or the list kind of on. So it's just 3 separate kind of year groups.
Okay, fantastic. And how has the Norland curriculum met or exceeded your expectations, and what aspects have you really, really enjoyed of a training?
I think personally, the curriculum has really met my expectations in every way that I wanted it to. I came into this kind of seeking more theory-based knowledge and trying to fit that into my practical knowledge and skills was kind of a challenge for me, and I hadn't really had that training before. So to be able to come to Norland and learn, have lectures about Bowlby and Bronfenbrenner and that kind of thing, and then to see the practical applications of it within in-home childcare has been incredible.
Fantastic. And I know that from what people have learned from the outside, you have lots of interesting aspects of your curriculum, like self-defense and defensive driving. Are those things that are really exciting, or are those things it's a rite of passage?
Yeah, I think those kind of added things that we do really kind of like enhance us as professional nannies. So as part of Norland, you kind of do your degree, and then alongside that, the diploma, so the diploma is kind of the more practical aspect of it, say could be cooking or sewing, and then the degree is kind of our lectures kind of on early years and child development. So the valid added curriculum is, the things that you always see in the documentaries, let's say the skid pan training or the self-defense, but you also do really other valuable things, kind of like baby massage and cyber, is it like cyber security things, and yeah, which are all really good as well, alongside. So yeah.
Fantastic. And let's talk a little bit about the Norland uniform, because we know it's iconic. Could you share your thoughts on wearing it and the significance in your role as a nanny in training? I know you have two different uniforms now, a blue one and a beige one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's really, I didn't grow up with a uniform coming from the States. I really had never worn a uniform before. And that was one thing that I was a bit nervous about. Like, what's it going to be like to wear a uniform every day? You know, will I feel a bit silly? But I think having that uniform, the heritage of it, and the being able to wear it with pride, and the feeling that, you know, you're part of something, that's really important. And it's just felt really special.
Yeah, definitely. I feel so proud to be able to put that uniform on every day. It's such a privilege to be able to wear it, and I think it really represents everything that Norland is, and the heritage, and putting that uniform on means it's just another step further to showing that we are professionals, and it's a really nice thing to be able to wear.
As a UK student and a US based student, what opportunities and challenges have you encountered at Norland College, if any? And how have these experiences shaped your understanding of a nanny profession?
I am in my third year now. So I think overall, I've done about 9 placements with Norland at the moment, and with a whole wealth of different experiences. And there's definitely a few I can think of that have really shaped my practice as a professional nanny. Things like I remember there was one placement I did where they were sleep training the little girl, and kind of like the knowledge that I got about different routines and things like that from that was great. I did a placement at the start of the year at a SEN school, which was absolutely amazing and has completely changed my perspective on lots of different things, but things I'll definitely take forward. I also did a placement on the maternity unit of the local hospital here, which was amazing and absolutely invaluable experience to be able to have, to be able to meet those small babies in the first kind of hours of their life was absolutely incredible, and something that I'm definitely going to take forward into my own practice. But definitely some practical things as well. In the hospital, I learned things to look out for, which will definitely be useful kind of moving forward, working within the home and things. So yeah, lots of different experiences.
I know when I trained as a nanny, I did 12 weeks in a maternity unit, and it was just mind-blowing and life-changing, really. But I can completely relate with what you're saying. It's just it
was absolutely incredible. I think I had goosebumps the entire week. It was just crazy. It was amazing, and nothing like I'd ever experienced before. So it was a really nice thing to do.
Were you able to see a birth, or were you?
No, I didn't see a birth. It was kind of the post and like prenatal care of mothers and the babies. So yeah, no, it was really good though.
It's such an experience. I think I would never change that experience in my life.
Well, I mean, I have the same feelings on hospital placements as far as that goes, just feel a
Yeah.
bit magical. No, I've been really lucky to experience such great placements here. I think I've done 5. I think I'm about halfway through my placements now, which is so scary to think about. Yeah, but it's been so wonderful to get to see British curriculum versus US curriculum, especially in nurseries and primary schools and that kind of thing, because a lot of it is very similar, but then, some of the grammatical things are different. Some of the phonics are clearly very different. And so learning that and learning, what happens in a British school system versus a US school system has been so beneficial for me in my practice, but also just curiosity.
Yes.
Like, I've really enjoyed just being able to dig into it because I've always been curious.
Fantastic. And have you noticed big differences between the way you nanny in the US and the way you nanny in the UK?
I don't think I can see any noticeable differences. I did some temporary nannying back in the States over the summer. And so I was kind of thinking, like, do I do anything differently here that I wouldn't do back home in the UK? And I really don't think that there are any differences besides the words used, diaper versus nappy versus,
Yes.
dummy and binky. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And what do you both aspire to become once you're qualified Norland nannies? And how do you envision positively impacting the families you work with?
My time at Norland has taught me so much, but I think the morals I have picked up along the way are definitely things that I'll take forward. Things like ensuring children are always at the center, creating an enriching environment, things like that are things that I will definitely take forward. Because Norland also do a degree, I've had the opportunity at the moment to I'm starting, I'm actually in the process of doing my dissertation, and I'm doing it on sleep and nutrition routines. And that's something that I feel like the spark and inspiration for that has really come from our food and nutrition sessions at Norland and our lectures on sleep. And I think the knowledge I'm learning from that at the moment is something that I hope I'll be very well equipped to advise parents and on when I work within the home. And I hope that will have a positive impact, as I'm finding it really interesting. So I think I definitely love to work within the home, at least for a few years, and then maybe specialize in either of those, kind of sleep or nutrition. I think they're very interesting. So yeah, it just goes to show that everyone kind of starts the journey knowing they have a passion for working with children, but maybe you kind of discover other passions along the way. It's really nice.
Yes, fantastic. And how about you, Emma?
Yeah, I completely agree with those notions. You do start with the general passion and then kind of narrow down as you study of like what you want to go into. And I'm still kind of trying to find my special interests within childcare, but I'm really very interested in maternity care now and kind of childbirth and that kind of thing. So I could see myself going into that sometime in the future, but I think ideally I would love to work with children as a nanny for as long as I can, realistically, and just be able to grow with a family, I think is the most important thing for me.
Fantastic. And for people who don't really know about Norland, so the course is 3 years, and then in the 4th year you do a last year of your degree and diploma course, correct?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. And do you get placed with those families through an agency? Do you choose them? Do they choose you? Is it something that's put upon you? How does that work?
Yeah, so that kind of year at the end is called your newly qualified nanny year. So some people call it for short NQN year. And it's essentially kind of a probationary year, similar to what teachers do when they finish their degrees and things. And it's not, you do have to complete your NQN year to be able to call yourself a Norland nanny as such. But you have choice over where you want to be in the UK, working, how many children you want, ages and preferences, things like that. So you kind of get a jobs list. It's usually around June time of your third year. And then I think you have to interview for 3. And then you go and you do the interviews kind of like a normal nanny role. Yeah, exactly. And then yeah, you can take one, or but yeah, you can keep interviewing until you find the family that fits right for you. But yeah, so Norland do help us with that by families kind of apply for a newly qualified nanny, and then that's kind of the list you're exposed to be able to interview for. So yeah, which is really helpful.
And then you do that for 12 months, and then
Yeah,
if that is successful and you've completed all your coursework, then you actually become a Norland nanny.
yeah.
So it's a big thing.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, but very exciting.
Yes, very exciting for sure. Can you speak to any memorable practical experiences or placements that have significantly contributed to your student perspective? I know you've mentioned some already, you know, your maternity ward experience, but are there any that stick out a little bit more?
For me, I just did a placement. I think I've only finished it about a month ago. The family were so wonderful. It was a live-in placement, so I lived in 4 days a week with the family, and they had a 3-year-old and a 4-month-old baby. And I was really quite nervous to start because I had done live-in work before, but it didn't go terribly well, and I was just really worried about what was going to happen. But it really helped me gain confidence and, you know, be able to feel like a valued member of the household. And that was really important for me.
Fantastic. And how long are your placements?
Mhm.
Are they a couple of weeks, or does it depend on what placement you're working on?
They're about a month long.
Okay.
Yeah, for me, actually, my first year, the first 2 placements had to be adjusted because of my international student status. So those were a bit different, but yeah, they're a month long.
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah. I think over the last 3 years I've got lots of kind of memorable experiences, but and yeah, so I think if like as I mentioned before, we do the degree and the diploma. And I think a few that kind of come to mind are we do a Norland Bake Off in the 3rd year, which is super fun. And so it kind of like brings together your baking skills, and we've actually just done ours, and it was really great to kind of like put your creativity on it, and bake a cake, or you could bake something savory if you wanted to. So that's been a really nice thing. But definitely like so many of the modules have been so like influential on my practice, and at the moment we're doing one which is really kind of it's bringing everything we have learned, or you know, you kind of create your own ethos. That's kind of where it's coming to now, and we're essentially creating and designing our own nursery, and that's the presentation we're doing next week. So that's been I've really enjoyed that module. I mentioned some leadership, and it's basically just your ethos in the nursery, what pedagogical approaches you might follow, what kind of leadership style, things like that. So that's been a really good one to do. So yeah.
Now, just to clarify, because obviously there are people all over the world. So nursery means one thing in England, it means something else in the States.
Okay, so
yeah. When you're talking about nursery, you're not talking about the baby's room, you're talking about a nursery school.
Yeah, a nursery school. Exactly. Yeah, so kind of what that looks like on a day-to-day, like the influences, whether it's a forest school, or whether you kind of have like a Montessori nursery school, or kind of what approaches might influence it and things like that. So yeah, it's been really good. I really enjoyed this one. So, yeah.
And how do you both feel Norland College has equipped you to navigate the challenges and opportunities of being a nanny internationally? And how has it prepared you for a global context in childcare?
I think that's a really interesting question because I hadn't thought about that really until this question came up. And I can see throughout our coursework, we talked about different curriculums in different parts of the world, how those are beneficial, what can we take from those as beneficial and use it in our own practice, like Te Riki in New Zealand, or, other things from Scandinavia, and, pulling beneficial curriculums and also cultural, maybe cultural ideals from different places that, are beneficial towards children, and putting that into our practice.
Fantastic. And Sophie, how do you feel about being equipped to be an international nanny?
Emma was saying, we learn about lots of different curriculums kind of all over the world. So I think that's really helpful, especially if you're going into the home environment. But also kind of more interpersonal skills as well. I think Norland really equips us for. We do a couple of master classes, and we have a guest lecture from a brilliant lady who kind of speaks to us about tricky conversations that we might have to have, or kind of different customs and things like that, which I think was a really useful guest lecture for me. I really enjoyed that one. And yeah, definitely, even going back to the food and nutrition, we are taught about a variety of different cultures and different types of food and things like that, which I think is really great, to ensure you're well equipped, kind of ready to go into the home, and you kind of have like a little bit of knowledge about lots of different areas, and
yes,
so it's great.
And what advice would you give anyone considering Norland College for their nanny education, based on your perspective and experience?
I mean, I would highly recommend it. I think from an international perspective, it does seem a bit out there. It does seem a bit extreme to go to a nanny college. And I think some people might have questions and concerns about, maybe they don't want to be just a nanny afterwards. But that's the great thing about Norland, is that they're preparing you for a career with children and whatever you want to do.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. I think if someone asked me, I would say, if you have a passion for working with children, do it. Like, absolutely do it, because even if you, like Emma was saying, even if you aren't exactly sure what you want to do working with children, whether that is, a professional nanny, or you want to be a teacher, or you want to go into a nursery school, or maybe you want to be a midwife, but you aren't exactly sure, I think Norland really gives you kind of like a wide variety of experiences, whilst always keeping the child at the center of everything, which is really important. So that's something that definitely aligns with all of us at Norland, so which is great. I'd 100% just say go for it, and have a look on the website, because and the Instagram and things like that, because it really highlights everything that we're about, which is great.
Well, thank you very much, Emma and Sophie, for sharing all this information with me and the listeners and viewers. And it was great to learn more about Norland.
No,
absolutely.
so much.
It was great to meet you.